For baseball fans, as I am, this is what we call the Hot Stove League, where we imagine ourselves in front of a hot stove, just thinking about baseball in our minds, watching all the different trades and signings. But I also used it as a time for my seventh graders on Tuesday to ask them a question about prayer. So I poised that we're in the World Series, perhaps, and the batter comes up to bat and recites a silent prayer. We obviously are privy to what it says, and says, God, please let me hit this game going ahead home run. It will make my career, I will be so satisfied. And of course, the pitcher is saying, please let me strike out this batter. It will make my career. I will go into the history books as the one who struck out this power hitter. So what's prayer gets answered? What is God supposed to do? What is the purpose of prayer? And of course, I had a video in front of me prepared. And I actually want to give a shout out to a teacher of mine, Rabbi Stephen Baer, who is now the Rabbi Emeritus of B'nai Israel in Millwood, New Jersey. But I guess when he was a young rabbi, I don't know how old he was at the time, but I was a teenager at Camp Ramah. He taught me through his classes how you could use popular movies to teach Jewish values and Jewish topics. He brought a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek, and actually the movie Oh God with George Burns in it. Well, the updated version of that Oh God movie, where we sort of get into a picture of what God is doing up there, is the movie Bruce Almighty. You may or may not have seen it. 2003, Jim Carrey, Jennifer Aniston, and of course, Morgan Freeman playing God. And someone said to me that they don't really always like Jim Carrey's antics and things like that. I can certainly see that. But what's interesting about this film is that Carrey actually kind of diminishes the antics. He keeps them there because that's his signature, but he also gets into a serious mode, and there's serious questions that are brought up. So the antics part is that Bruce is this newscaster who is known for his side stories. He's a sideshow, and that's where his success comes. But he obviously yearns to be the one in the anchor chair running the show, and he is overlooked when it's time to replace the retiring anchor, chosen for someone else. And he's mugged on the way home. He basically has a terrible, horrible, no good day. So he cries out to God, God, you're like, what are you doing? You're like, I might as well not live. Sort of all of those comments that you kind of hear. And all of a sudden, Morgan Freeman appears and says, you want to crack at this? I'll give you a crack at this. And then, of course, it's a movie, so it's not like he's not God for the whole world. He says, they're in Buffalo, New York. I'm going to give you the power of God for 1 week in the Buffalo area. The one rule being you cannot violate someone's free will. And so he goes, and that's where he does some cool things, where he splits the tomato soup in the diner. There's all sorts of cute things in that. And then he actually gives himself the anchor chair, because he's living a regular life also. So it's, again, it's movie land. Why he needed to sleep, I don't know. But but he has the power of God. All of a sudden, he starts to hear things in his ear. It's all the people's prayers. And he doesn't know what to do. He can't keep them straight. So he tries a filing cabinet, too many files. So he has a computer, it's AOL time, and just says, you've got mail, and actually, you've got prayer. And he hundreds and hundreds of prayers, and he just says yes to them all. Okay? Fast forward to the end of the movie. There's chaos because everyone wanted to win the lottery, and they all split. They only got $17 each, and there's a riot going on. He's also lost his girlfriend, and so he's feeling mighty down. And so he goes in front of a truck, and he gets hit, and it goes up to heaven, and God starts to say, "So what's going on here? What happened? God can't. I couldn't do it as God." And God says, you're correct, because that's not what I do. The miracle stuff, that's kind of magic. Don't kind of let that be. The miracles, he says, are what human beings are able to do and how they're able to overcome their challenges. And he brings up the child, the student that chooses to go to school than to go into drugs. That's a hard thing to do. When that succeeds, that's a miracle. The doctor that's able to perform the most complicated surgery with focus and learning and practice, that is a miracle. And what about prayer? This God says, I want you to give me a prayer. He actually puts it on Jim Carrey's character thing. And Jim Carrey goes, I want world peace. And Morgan says, no. Really, I want you to think about what's deep in your heart. And so before he was very egotistical. And he says, now, you know what? I want my girlfriend, they named her Grace on purpose. I want Grace to just be happy. And if it's not with me, that's okay. All I care about is her happiness. And the God character says, now that's a prayer. And then he puts her back to life to life. We have the Hollywood ending. So I asked my students, so what does this tell us about miracles and about prayer? And we came up together with the answer that miracles are really about what we can do. And the rabbis actually teach us, Ein somchin al hanes. We cannot wait to expect the supernatural miracle. And what does it tell us about prayer? Prayer is not about a laundry list. I focused on this on a test for them. You cannot not study for a test and then pray to God, I'm going to get, pray, I want to get an A on this test, show up at the test, and you're going to fail it. God's not going to magically give you the answers. You have to put in the time and the effort. And so prayer is about care and concern for us, and really prayer and concern for others. And I ended the class focusing on Israel today. And I said, okay, so now we have, in my mind, perhaps one of the lessons of Hanukkah. The lessons of Hanukkah is that we have to bring about our miracles, and that prayer is not about a laundry list, it's about thinking of others. So what are we going to do on this Hanukkah to fulfill these lessons? And we came up together with the answer that we are going to be confident that the IDF and the Israeli people are going to bring about the miracle, and it is going to be a miracle, to get rid of Hamas, to get rid of the threat on their border. That's what they're going to work for. And what is the prayer? What is our prayer for them? Is that we are concerned for them and we care for them. And that's when Morel Tomer, our Israeli youth director, pointed in, is that many of our friends, that's all they're asking us for. Okay, yes, we can continue to send money, but they just want our concern. They want to know that we're thinking about them. That is what genuine prayer is. Prayer is about thinking, care, and concern, and that gives us the strength. That's where the strength comes from. Yes, there is a Ribono Shel Olam, but he's not a marionette. And so that is what miracle and prayer is in this Hanukkah season. Shabbat Shalom.